Yeah, well, a lot of people I'm sure have counted us out. I mean, that's what happens. Baseball's not an easy game to play, and sometimes it looks, like you're not even trying when you fail. But it can be a very humbling game. The kid from Gonzaga pitched a tremendous game from us against us the first night, and I'm sure that there were people out there, just giving us up for dead, that night. But our kids were trying. Sometimes you just tip your hat to the other team and the other players, and that's what I did after the game. I knew that kid just pitched marvelously against us, but our kids have shown great resiliency. They keep battling as hard as they can. Sometimes it doesn't go the way that you want it to, but the other teams are good too. They give scholarships and they have great coaches and great players as well. Somebody has to lose a game, and fortunately for us, the last 4 games we've come out on the positive side. But we're just going to keep battling. I'm glad we get to keep playing, and we're going to go to Tennessee next weekend and give it everything we've got, and hopefully we can be victorious.
And we say happy hump day, happy Wednesday afternoon to all of you. Buddy Sanji in the house along with Taylor Sharp, the hottest sportscaster in all of Baton Rouge. He does it for us at Pelican Sports Radio and TV. Paul Mainieri, Taylor. And I've got to be honest with everybody out there right now. I counted LSU out in Oregon when they lost the first game, a tough one, the 2-1 to Gonzaga. But lo and behold, to go through the losers bracket with that pitching and those clutch home runs, hey, I am happy to eat crow over here at Bayou Smokehouse. Old school barbecue, we've got it all for you. Libations, incredible barbecue, and an hour and a half of talking LSU. Good to see you, my man.
Good to be here.
How are you today?
I'm good. And look, don't be too hard on yourself. You're not the only one who counted LSU out. I was in that boat with you, as you know. Because look, all year long, they struggled with that bullpen pitching, and to come out of the losers bracket, now you have to play that extra game. You got to play that 4th one, but you got great performances from unexpected guys like Javen Coleman. He pitched the game of his life. Marceau was solid. Came in relief in that last game. I was impressed all around by the work of the pitching staff.
Taylor, I always talk about this time of year, LSU fans, and we spend millions of dollars on the beaches of Florida, and I always talk about you put your purple and gold towel and beach towel down at the pool or on the beach with the purple and gold umbrella, and man, had LSU not made it to the Super Regionals, you know what happens. Mississippi State and Arkansas and Tennessee, by God, they kick sand up on that towel and say, you're not any good this year. And what a fitting, awesome regional. There were so many things that were awesome about it. And we talked about it on this show. All those people out there watching this tonight, to be able to stay up past midnight and be on the edge of your seat, thinking like the old times, they're going to find a way to pull it out, and I'll be darned if they didn't pull it out. So really, for a class act like Coach Mainieri, much rather see him go out like this than what could have happened had they not had the walk-off win against Central Connecticut State.
Yeah, well, look, Central Connecticut State looked like they were going to win that game. I mean, you thought they were going to be 2 and done in this regional, and that really would have been unfortunate because I still think this team has a lot of talent, but for them to come back, win 3 straight like that, and you're right, staying up late at night. It was fun. I had to be up early the next morning, but it didn't matter for that reason because, you were so invested into that baseball game. That's the most exciting baseball game I've watched in a long time. And, me and you have talked about it a lot this week. When Drew Bianco hit that home run, you really started to get that feel of, okay, maybe they can do this thing. And, look, ultimately, they kept getting down, but they always found a way out of it, always got that timely hit. And, look, it worked out for them. They're moving on.
All right, folks, we're at 106.55 Coursey Boulevard. Finn is taking names and kicking butt. We talk about old school barbecue. We talk about slow smoked brisket, 14 hours, all of the great product we have over here. And folks, come on in here. Look, it's when you do barbecue the right way, when we sell out, we close. But we're doing a show right now. If you want to come in here tonight or this weekend, don't forget we are closed on Sundays and Mondays. You had the sausage already. You've had the brisket already. It ought to be a little time that you go down memory lane with some St. Louis ribs today.
Look, that sounds good. I'm ready to try it all. You know, I'm a big pulled pork guy, so I'm gonna dive into that as well. Ready to try a little bit of it all.
Speaking of as good as it gets, LSU had 80 home runs going into the regional. Taylor, all we heard about Eugene, Oregon is that it didn't get dark until 9 o'clock their time. Everybody knows it's Pacific time, so the games over there at were actually 7 o'clock for them over there, 9 o'clock for us. So, dude, it's 11 o'clock at night and it's just the sun's just setting over there. But the ballpark had a reputation of the ball not carrying, a big park, a pitcher's park, and yet LSU with 8 home runs now, 88 for the year. I think Arkansas leads the country with 100. And as always now, to get out of the regional, hey, Coach Mainieri, I'm going to give you all of the credit in the world along with your team and your staff and everybody. And how about those fans? I've had interaction with 3 or 4. We'll talk to Chris Giat on the radio tomorrow. But it sounded on TV like a darn home crowd with that constant go Tigers, LSU, and all the other stuff. But it was so exciting. And here's the best thing about it for me, Taylor. It was so much fun to watch. You were on the seat of your couch or your lazy boy, wherever you were watching it. You staying up late and you said, hell, I can't go to bed now. And then here's the other problem. After you watch those scintillating victories, it's hard to just shut it off and go to sleep.
Yeah, it is. You know, you're kind of riding that high a lot throughout the day. You know, I think the game ended around 1 a.m. I mean, it's 2 o'clock before you calm down at that point, especially a game of this magnitude. But you're right, LSU was more than well represented. And, you know, pat on the back to the fans. I was walking throughout the house, you know, and I have the game on in the background, and I hear a big play get made. I'm like, oh, Oregon just hit a big home run. But it was LSU that was making those plays. LSU had the crowd behind them, and I was very pleased with the way the fans showed up.
Hey, man, you look good in blue tonight as Taylor and yours truly. Look, I don't have the sunglasses on because LSU gives me no reason to hide what we've been seeing. And we really hadn't addressed this, and I hadn't asked you personally this, but what do you think gave the impetus for LSU to make this turnaround? Was it Coach Mainieri's last opportunity in a regional? Was it the guys just coming around, having a week off because of the early departure in the SEC tournament? I thought it was a real benefit to have that time off. Or was it just that LSU is better than Gonzaga and Oregon this year?
I think it's a combination of it all, really. I mean, look, LSU was certainly the better team this weekend. We saw that. You know, they beat Oregon in back-to-back games. LSU did step up. Their pitching staff stepped up in particular. We were talking about that just a second ago, and I do think the Mainieri announcement had a lot to do with it. You know, we saw the outpour of support from former players and current. You know, just talking about what kind of man Coach Mainieri is. And, you know, he may take that criticism, but first-class individual, and you know the players love to play for him. So I think it was a combination, almost kind of a perfect storm for LSU to go in and win this thing.
All right, please don't call my cell phone anymore and ask me who the new coach is, because it seems like it is a revolving door each and every day. I will just say this, Scott Woodward, we were waiting for him to come in and make a big splash and make a big hire. And he did that with the hiring of Kim Mulkey, and it's already reaping major benefits with fundraising and all kinds of other things. But Taylor, we thought it was going to be O'Sully, and I think they probably had a good chance of getting Kevin O'Sullivan. But in light of what's happened at LSU and in light of all the accusations and implications with the Title IX suit, they've got to do their best job vetting these candidates. You can't have any baggage that's going to come back to haunt them. And so they've got to do better, and it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out. I do know they're trying to hit a grand slam, not just a home run. But, hey, it'll be 2 or 3 weeks. But if you're going to call me and ask me who the new coach is, I'm just going to tell you IDK, I don't know.
Look, the good news is we've seen what Scott Woodward can do now when he has time to make that hire. Everybody was a little concerned. There's a lot of turnover on the football staff, and we didn't really know what Woodward was going to do. We haven't seen him make a hire here. Look, by all accounts, he's made great hires with the football staff. Jake Peets, Durante Jones, killed it with Kim Mulkey. He knocked that one out of the park. So you have that confidence that the administration is going to make that right hire. So I would just be patient. Yeah, I think good things are on the horizon.
Since we last talked to you on Tigers Roar, folks, we are taping on June the 9th, 2021. As always, over here at Bayou Smokehouse. If you need an order to go, 225-831-9336 is the phone number. Lo and behold, the last time we've not even had a chance to talk about James Craig. Something crazy going on. We got to the message and the email from LSU last Tuesday night, I think it's, or actually last Thursday night, Wednesday night, whatever it was, last Wednesday night, 7 o'clock, that James Craig, they had parted ways, and then Brad Davis, the highly touted, he's from Bel Air and Baton Rouge. How about this irony? Went to play at Oklahoma. And then there's been a great offensive line coach, was making $650 with Sam Pittman. Sam Pittman's considered the best O-line mentor and coach in the country, and yet he was, Brad Davis had a great career, but the salary and the coming home and being closer to his parents, all of that came into play, and LSU was able to recover a loose fumble with James Craig and a turnover. But it didn't take them long to nail out a really, really awesome O-line coach. And I know you say, oh, offensive line coach, defensive line coach. Let me tell you, how many times we talk about it? In the trenches, where a lot of SEC football games are won and lost, going to do a great job recruiting, but I'm excited to see what he brings to the table.
Yeah, me too. And look, LSU did such a great job of nailing down this hire quickly. Well, we talked about it this time last week about the announcement of James Craig's departure was put out there about 24 to 48 hours later. It was finalized with Brad Davis. I mean, it was quick. There was no beating around the bush or anything. They knew who they wanted, and I think that's a testament to how good of an offensive line coach is. As soon as one guy's out, oh, we know who we're going after. This is our top guy, and I think LSU did a good job. And look, that going back to baseball, that's what gives me confidence that they're going to make the right hire here, because they continue to just get home runs with these hires.
Official announcement has not been made, but the rumors have leaked out. Going to make $810 the first year, $830 the second year, and $850 the last year. Look, I don't know what happened with James Craig, but I do know that when he didn't, they spent all the money and the time and the effort to get Tristan Lee over here, big 5-star, and of course Dabo Swinney. And I'm not going to call him any names on this show tonight. We might have kids watching, but I think Dabo is still a little butthurt on the butt whipping that LSU put on Clemson in the Superdome. And so this Tristan Lee signs, doesn't tell anybody, and then schools, along with LSU and others, continue to recruit him, which is illegal contact. But we don't have the details of what happened. But suffice to say, I think that was when he didn't secure that signature of Tristan Lee, I just had this uneasy feeling, and I just think that the new coach, Brad Davis, he's not going to lose too many 5-stars if you want to play at LSU. This guy's got a great reputation as not only a great recruiter, but a great people person, and even more so, a great technician. As you know, we talked about it on the show today, different theories, and I can't wait to see what the LSU looks like this year with the offensive line.
Yeah, and I think that's why they made that hire. You talk about how great of a recruiter this guy has a reputation to be, and that was kind of the shortfall with James Craig. I mean, I thought James Craig was an okay coach in terms of X's and O's, the technical part of it, but he never really nailed that one big offensive lineman. I mean, look, Cardell Jones was supposed to be that guy. He hasn't panned out yet. Anthony Bradford, kind of the same thing. Really, the only guy he's recruited that's started a significant amount of games is Liam Shanahan, who actually transferred in. So, it's been kind of a revolving door of offensive linemen for a while, but hopefully Davis can come in and kind of change the culture up front.
Shout out to Katie and A.T. Alan Trailer out in the truck. Of course, we know that Marty and Greg manning the cameras, and as long as we don't zoom in too close to me, We think that you'll be able to get through this broadcast whenever you are watching it. We do appreciate all of your loyalty. You know, in the summertime, it's hit and miss, but we just had to do a show today with LSU advancing to go play Tennessee. When we come back after this first break, we'll let you hear from Paul Mainieri in that press conference. Scintillating stuff. I mean, 12:30, you're sitting there going, man, I got to wake up. But I had a friend of mine say, did you fall asleep? I said, dude, number one, not only is it my job, but secondly, how could you sleep? And really, would you feel bad? And look, I had a guy tell me today, he said, I fell asleep and I woke up and Landon Marceau was pitching and I thought I had a dream. Incredible the way they were able to work all of those arms in and then finish with your ace to get a 9-8 victory. And here's the irony that some of you may have heard us talk today about and some may have not. But on the morning, the Tuesday morning, yesterday morning, LSU beat Oregon 9-8. And 25 years ago, on that date, June the 8th, 25 years ago, Warren Mars hit the home run, the walk-off in 96, okay, to beat Miami 9-8. It's crazy how some of these things coincidentally fall into place, isn't it?
It is, and look, maybe that was kind of a good luck charm from the past that kind of helped LSU win this game. You know, you win this game 9-8. Warren Morris hits that to win it 9-8. It was really poetic in a game like that. You know, two teams battling to keep their seasons alive, and it couldn't have ended in a better way.
Are you folks headed to the beaches of Florida and obviously Gulf Shores in Alabama, Destin, Fort Walton, Pensacola, Panama City, whatever? Represent LSU the right way. Stay hydrated. Also make sure you don't fall asleep on the beach while your kids are getting into some of that deep water. I saw a shark attack. There's been drowning. So please enjoy your time out there, but stay hydrated. And once again, enjoy your summers. We're coming to you on a Wednesday, June the 9th, right here from Bayou Smokehouse, right here at Tigers Roar on Pelican Sports TV. You can always check our stuff out at PelicanSportsTV.com, and we'll be right back with Coach Mainieri press conference after that incredible win. Didn't happen that long ago, but it'll last for a long time. And then we'll also talk about LSU and Tennessee in the Super Regional coming up Saturday. Stay with us and enjoy your Wednesday afternoon. You're listening to Tigers Roar and watching Tigers Roar on Pelican Sports TV.
Hi, I am Dr. Farrell Frugier Jr., and I am a general dentist at Frugier Family Dentistry. I was born and raised in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I went to Catholic High School, LSU, and LSU School of Dentistry in New Orleans, where I received my DDS degree in 1986. I always have and will continue to be committed to continuing my education, to invest in technology which makes the diagnosis and delivery of dentistry more thorough, more comfortable, and more aesthetically pleasing. In our practice, we are here to serve the patients. We want to improve their quality of life and to develop relationships with our patients. In dentistry, we have a chance to impact lives on a daily basis, not just by doing dentistry, but by getting to know them and being a part of their life. We also believe in giving back to our community. So every year, we give back to the Greater Baton Rouge Food Bank, Toys for Tots, and Mary Bird Perkins Cancer Center. Please stop by and visit our office. We would love to take care of you and your family.
Team Honda wants to thank you for once again making us Louisiana's #1 new car dealer by offering you never-before-seen savings. For the first time ever, get 0% financing up to 60 months on some of your favorite Honda models. Get thousands in savings right now at Team Honda on Siegen Lane.
Hello guys, it's Debbie. It's time. I've got a brand new location. 10510 Airline Highway, Baton Rouge, next to After 5 Tuxedos. We have the perfect spot to get all your wedding and formal wear needs. Come see our one-of-a-kind name brand and get great prices. With 30 years experience, the best customer service anywhere. It's Debbie's Bridal, Airline Highway, Baton Rouge. See you soon.
Hi, I'm Bobby Yarborough with Manda Fine Meats. Here at Manda, we know what the folks of South Louisiana love. They love great flavored smoked sausage, delicious deli meats, and specialty items like boudin and andouille sausage. Manda Fine Meats has been providing these products since 1947. We produce them right here in Baton Rouge, so you know you're always getting the freshest product at your local grocery store. Manda Fine Meats. Taste the fresh local flavor in everything we make. Make it Manda every time.
Live and play on the fairway at Greystone Golf and Country Club, a serene, challenging golf destination located in Denham Springs. For tee times and membership opportunities, go to greystonecountryclub.com. Welcome you back here Wednesday afternoon. I am so thankful to the good Lord and Mother Nature. We've gotten a break, folks. It rained cats and dogs for a couple of weeks. Now we've had 3 days of sunshine. We're back talking Tigers Roar. A couple of tidbits I just picked up on the tweets. Pat Casey, the former Oregon State coach, won a couple championships over there and has been retired for a couple of years. He's getting a little bit of a play. And also, we know Gio DiGiacomo is probably out for the Super Regionals. We also have been made aware that Mitchell Sanford has hurt his back and is out for the year. Cranford is going to travel instead. And before we get to Coach Mainieri, when did you, I'm going to let you impress everybody on TV as I ask you an honest question here, Taylor. When did you believe LSU was going to definitively win this regional in Eugene, Oregon?
Look, I'm like you. You know, we talked about this on the radio throughout the week. It was the Bianco home run. It was that 2-run, because it seems like whenever Bianco gets one of those big hits, it kind of sparks the rest of the team. He's kind of that igniter in that lineup. You know, whether it's because he's been on the team for a while, overcome everything he's done. But yeah, when Bianco hit that home run to put us up, that was really when I was like, okay, the Tigers are about to do this thing.
All right, here is Coach Mainieri after many hours in Eugene. It was late night here and certainly a long, drawn-out system. LSU had to come back out of the loser's bracket and win 4 games. Here's Paul Mainieri after the final out was solidified, and of course he gave the game ball to his wife and hugged all of his family. Well, here's what the coach had to say. Let me
begin by just complimenting the University of Oregon for being a tremendous host. This is my first time to Eugene, and everything was just run in a first-class manner. I mean, everything. The facility is beautiful. The administrative aspect of it, everybody treated us in a first-class way. And I cannot speak in greater superlatives for the coaching staff, Mark and his staff, and the quality of the players for the University of Oregon. I know I've been on the other side of this many times, and when your season comes to a finality so suddenly, and especially in such a close game, heartbreaking way like that, it's hard to rejoice too much when you're on the winning side, because you know what they're going through. They pour their heart and soul into it every day, and when they come up short, it's just it's devastating. And they had such a great year and such a great ball club. And I don't know if everybody noticed, but they took the time to go shake hands with our team after the game, and they didn't just go through the motions. Every one of their people, starting with the coaching staff, complimented our players and said such nice things. It was so first class. And, you know, when programs are run that way, they ultimately get to the top of the mountain. And even though today is a disappointing day for them, when you do things the right way, ultimately things always go your way. And I compliment Mark and the first class way he runs his program. There's nothing but great days ahead for them, and I compliment them in a big way. So I know they're hurting right now, but these days will pass and they'll have good things ahead for them. On the other hand, for us, you know, obviously this was a tremendous accomplishment, you know, to lose the first game of the tournament and then to come back and win 4 straight elimination games. You know, I just remember so much that after we had lost that opening game to Gonzaga and then the team came to the field the next day to play Central Connecticut State, and I had watched a couple of innings of that game, and they gave Oregon all they could handle that opening game. I think they had 16 or 17 hits. And I knew Charlie Hickey from my years at Notre Dame when he was at Providence, and I knew that they played hard and they had tough kids, and they were going to give us as much as we could handle. And I knew our kids were down from the loss the night before, and we had a short turnaround, and our kids, you know, showed just a lot of resiliency coming out that next early morning to get ready for a 1 o'clock game, and they played so hard, and we got that win behind us, and then yesterday was such a long day, and I'll just never forget the effort Javen Coleman gave us out of the bullpen to allow us to win a hard-fought game last night over a really good Oregon team. And then tonight, you know, it was just such a wild game. You know, we had so many young pitchers that we ran out there, and you know, I'll tell you, we got off to a good start behind Gavin's home run, and then, you know, our young pitchers would fall behind in counts, and Kenyon got into one and hit the 2-run homer, and then their Zavala, the really great ball player, man, he goes opposite field and hits a home run to give him a lead, and you know, they just got a really good team. And when our young pitchers fall behind in counts, they would hit them, and you know, we fell behind, and then Drew Bianco gave us a lift with the big home run, and then they came right back, and I'm trying to remember, Kenyon hit the home run. I guess I got confused. So who hit the first home run for them? Zavala hit the early home run, I guess. So I just remember it just being back and forth, and it was a great ball game. And then we got very fortunate there when you know, Dugas led off with a walk, and then Cade Doty chopped the ball over the first baseman's head. You know, sometimes in baseball you just get fortuitous bounces, and you know, that was just a good lucky bounce. You know, luck is a residue of design. Sometimes Cade went the opposite field. You know, they're playing him shift to pull, and rightly so, because he pulls the ball so frequently, but he just had a good inside out swing there and bounced the ball over the first baseman's head, and we ended up with second and third, and then Cade Belosa put the ball in play, and Gavin got a great jump off third base on a contact play, and a bang play at the plate, and we got the call at home, and then, you know, it was a lot of cat and mouse game there with first and third. We had the safety squeeze on, and they were doing a crash with the first baseman. I took it off, and then I think they got their signals crossed a little bit there, and the pitcher ended up balking, and Jordan ended up coming through with the big hit, and obviously that run ended up being huge because, you know, they rallied and scored a run. You know, what can you say about Landon Marceau coming in out of the bullpen and saving the game for us? It was just an awesome victory for our team, and you know, one for the ages for us to be able to come out of after losing the first game and come back and win 4 straight and winning this regional championship.
All right, we'll get into questions. Let's start with James Crappier from the Oregonian.
Paul, you touched on the cat and mouse there. I get what they were going for and what you were going for. Because he's a lefty, in essence, can you run that play? And have you seen that play run successfully by a lefty? And if they're throwing a righty, can you run it the same way? Because obviously it's the runner on third that's matter. Everybody thinks they're going to first so many times. Fans were chiming in and don't understand. It's not about the runner at first. It's all about the runner at third. Have you seen it run successfully by a left-hander? And if it's a righty, can you even do it?
Well, they were doing it extremely well. You could see that how well coached they were doing it, and it was basically taking it away from us. And they were making the moves over there to see if our batter was, showing that he was going to bunt, and we did have it on, and the first pitch was a ball, so we didn't bunt it. Unfortunately for us, if he had thrown a strike, we would have bunted the ball, and they probably would have made the play at the plate. So we actually were very fortunate that we didn't bunt the ball. And after that, I actually took the play off, and we were going to just have Jordan hit. And I'm not sure what happened. You'd have to ask Mark what happened, on the balk play where the first baseman was I don't know if he was fake crashing or was actually coming in for the bunt or not when they made the move. When you make a move to first base and your fielder's not covering the bag, you can't throw to an unoccupied base like that. That's why I'm sure they called the balk. I'm not sure with a right-handed pitcher if they would have done it, and tried to execute it the way that they were doing it defensively. I'm not going to divulge secrets about what we would do defensively, but they were doing a really good job preventing us from being able to put a safety squeeze on, and they were going to force us to have to hit the, swing the bat to drive in that run there. And after the balk, Jordan came through with a big hit, so who knows what would have happened.
Glenn West, LSU Country.
Coach, we've talked about Gavin a lot, but just the performance that he's given you guys the last two nights against this team, it's really kind of one of those performances of the ages, I guess is what you would call it. Just what has he meant, these last two nights to you guys to pull out these wins?
Well, Glenn, as you followed our team, he's been doing it all year for us. He's had just a phenomenal year, and he was the MVP of this tournament, and rightly so. He's just been amazing, had an amazing season for us, go all the way back to the opening weekend against Louisiana Tech. I remember him hitting a grand slam to tie the game, and he's just done that all year for us. The final weekend at Texas A&M, he had big home runs. Throughout the year, he's done it. We don't win this regional tournament without what Gavin Dugas does for us. So, that's what happens in the big ball games. You expect your best players to step up for you, and that's what he did for us this weekend.
Wilson Alexander, the Advocate.
Paul, just the emotions of this. You went into the stands and it looked like, I think, hugged Karen, and I think maybe you got the game ball after the game too. Just to know that your team is going to keep playing, that your career is going to keep going. How does this feel right now?
Well, it's not about me at all, Wilson. It's about these young men, and they're the ones they're the reason I coach. Is to work with young people and to help them learn how to be successful on the baseball field and later on in life. And a lot's been made about my career coming to an end, but I've had 39 wonderful years. These kids only get 3-4 years in college, so I'd really prefer the focus just to be on them. And it's a great experience for them. I tell them, the greatest thing is the greatest opportunity they have is to go out there and play a college baseball game and to win a baseball game. The second best thing is to go out and play a college baseball game and lose it. A baseball game, at least they have the opportunity to be out there. Not everybody gets these kind of experiences in their life, and they have to keep it in perspective. So, it's sad that there has to be a loser in a ball game because both teams are out there trying as hard as they can. I hugged Kenyon Yovan after the game, and he had tears in his eyes, and I love that kid. I had him for 3 weeks with the USA team, and he competed so hard, for the United States of America when I was the coach of the team, and we developed a very close relationship just in 3 weeks together. And I hated to see him, feeling such pain tonight, and so, it's hard to gloat when you are victorious because that there's pain on the other side. But, in time, I think those Oregon kids will realize that they had a tremendous season and that they've done wonderful things here, and their life will continue, and they'll learn from these experiences and be grateful for what they have.
Go to Michael from WBRZ.
Coach, a lot is going to be made of the offensive plays in this game. I know you did have the one error, but you can think of some big plays in the outfield that were made, some infield plays that were made. If you would speak to your team coming up big defensively.
Well, I think Alex Milazzo made a couple big plays again on throws, and Drew Bianco, besides the home run, I think he made a couple of really outstanding plays in center field. I think Thompson, I know he had that, bad error with Edwards on the mound, but he turned a beautiful double play once when he went in the hole and started a double play. So, it's a tough game to play, and these kids have a lot of pressure on them. So you expect them to play perfectly, but, they're young men and, they can't do it all the time. It's unfortunate. Again, sometimes the games are decided by mistakes, but these kids are all, a lot's expected of them. And, sometimes they're not perfect, but when they make great plays, they should be highlighted. And I'm glad you asked that question, Mike, because, there's always outstanding plays on the field by both teams.
And so there you have it, Paul Mainieri after. I thought he would be a little more excited, but can you imagine all the pain he's been in? You can see him moving the neck and the back and all the things that he's been dealing with, along with the headaches. And that's a long, coming from the loser's bracket. And granted, it was about 11 o'clock their time, since it was about 1 our time. But kudos to Coach Paul Mainieri and his staff and that team. And we talked about it, and we mentioned it in the first segment. I think it was a combination of them wanting to send him out the right way. And let's be honest, Todd Walker said it today on our radio interview. And I had forgotten this. LSU, when they lost to Tennessee in the 3-game sweep, lost 3 games by a total of 4 runs, 19 walks in that weekend series. I kind of like if they hit the ball and they play smart and don't do stupid things the way they're hitting the long ball. I think this thing is going to be nip and tuck. This thing could very well go 3 games. But that was a long grind for him, and I'm glad that they came back and give the guys a day or 2 off. But we're going to talk about what you and I think we're going to do with the pitching rotation. But isn't it much nicer here? It is June 9th, and we're still talking college baseball and LSU baseball specifically.
Yeah, it is. I didn't think LSU would be here right now. I know you probably didn't as well. We talked about it all week. We thought they would struggle in this regional for whatever reason, but they didn't. They played pretty much complete games after losing that first one. They struggled a little bit with Central Connecticut early on, but Mikael Hilliard settled down a little bit. He started pitching well, and once again we got good performance out of our bullpen. And yeah, it was a complete performance all the way around, and it just makes baseball season a lot more fun when the team you're rooting for is doing good.
When we come back, we're going to go through some of those highlights. Taylor and I will talk about those highlights and talk as we watch them. Mike Scarborough with football recruiting news. And as always, we appreciate you being with us on this Wednesday afternoon. Tigers Roar from Bayou Smokehouse. Don't forget to go. 225-831-9336. It is the best barbecue in all of Baton Rouge. Special K in the bar today. And as always, we want you to have fun over here, eat some great barbecue, and let's see if we can get LSU to Omaha. Who would have thought that was possible? Hell, we were sitting there watching the brackets, and they were one of the last ones to be shown on the screen, and now they've got a chance, if they can win 2 out of 3 against Tennessee, to go back to Omaha. That much more on a Wednesday edition of Tigers Roar right here on Pelican Sports TV.
Creel Tree Service is a licensed and insured tree service providing tree and stump removal, topping, trimming, cabling, pruning, and fertilizing. We have free stump removal with takedowns, free estimates, affordable rates, and senior citizens discounts. Call 774-TREE. That's 774-8733. Get your yard ready for the warmer weather. If it deals with a tree, call me, Creel Tree Service, 774-8733. That's 774-TREE.
Hi, I'm Hurricane Betsy Barnes.
And I'm Dr. Kay Siller with The Rocket Right Show.
We are two busy blondes on the go showing off life in Louisiana.
Watch us on Pelican Sports Network.
And Talk 107.3 FM. Check local listings for times.
Hello guys, it's Debbie. It's time. I've got a brand new location. 10510 Airline Highway, Baton Rouge, next to After 5 Tuxedos. We have the perfect spot to get all your wedding and formal wear needs. Come see our one-of-a-kind name brand and get great prices. With 30 years experience, the best customer service anywhere. It's Debbie's Bridal, Airline Highway, Baton Rouge. See you soon.
Of all the auto brands on the road today, only one has been named the best auto brand for 6 straight years. That brand is Mazda. Come shop and save on the award-winning lineup of new Mazdas right now at Baton Rouge's Mazda dealer, Team Mazda on Airline.
Caught spiders? Premier Pest Services.
I've seen a lot of things during my life, more bad things than good. I've lived in a lot of places, but never a home. I don't think anybody cares about me anymore. And now I'm tired. Signed, Brian, age 11.
Abused and neglected children in East Baton Rouge Parish are in dire need of CASA volunteers. Please call 379-8598 today. Change a life of hurt into a life of hope.
Hello. Hola. Ni hao.
Experience what the Baton Rouge International School can offer your children. Now welcoming displaced students for short and long-term stability.
I know. And we welcome you back. Quick break here on this Wednesday, June the 9th. Hope everybody doing well. And hey, real quick, obviously the SEC's been super strong this year. I tell you what, Taylor, I said it when it happened. I don't know if I've ever seen the SEC go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and they were like that for some of those polls 2 or 3 weeks in a row. But it is hard for me to see the following teams not making it. I don't see how Arkansas doesn't make it to Omaha. I don't see how Vandy doesn't make it to Omaha. And already you've got the winner of Tennessee and LSU, so that's 3 that I'm thinking of. Mississippi State at their place, incredible venue against a very hot team. Todd Walker called them the hottest team in the country today on the radio. 15 dingers and 50 runs scored. Now, granted, it was at South Bend. They've got to come to Starkville. And then, of course, as we know, Ole Miss travels out west to play at Arizona. Ole Miss being the 12 seed, Arizona the 5 seed. Are we going to be looking at 4 SEC teams in Omaha this year?
You could get more than 4, honestly. But yeah, I think you do. I think Vanderbilt, when I was looking at their regional, their regional to super regional matchup, I thought they had a pretty easy go at it. I think there's no doubt they get in. Like you said, I think there's no doubt Arkansas gets in. They've been one of the most consistent, if not the most consistent team from beginning of the year till now. So I think that'll continue. I think they'll get in. And obviously either Tennessee or LSU will get in. That's 3 right there. And look, Ole Miss is playing really good too. I could see them getting in as well. And then Mississippi State has a shot. It'll be tough against Notre Dame. But yeah, I mean, you could potentially have 5 teams in there.
No doubt about it. As we said, a lot of names. Mike Bianco's name has been thrown into the hat as potential LSU coach. Dan McDonnell over at Louisville. Obviously, Tim Corbin would be a Kim Mulkey type of hire for a men's baseball coach. And as we said, unfortunately, Kevin O'Sullivan took out his garbage, and there were just too many bags that he had just too much baggage. Let's call it the way it is, and there's a lot of that going on. So he got vetted, and we'll see. It almost looks like Sully kind of told his team he might be going to LSU. They got beaten 19-1 in Gainesville, and you know what? I think that's why Sullivan probably talked to LSU.
college baseball in Gainesville just doesn't really flip anybody's crazy button. They struggle to get over 1,000 people in that stadium. And it's a brand new stadium and a good stadium.
It did. If you watch Florida's first 2 games, because, they lost straight games, but if you go watch it, it really was kind of a pitiful showing from their fans. I expected a lot more from a regional host team, especially a team of the caliber of Florida with the success they've had recently. But, yeah, the fan support's just not really there. I can understand why O'Sullivan want to make the move. But, we kept hearing more and more about O'Sullivan. It was, some negative things coming out. Whether they were true or not, doesn't matter at this point because, when something comes out and that many things, you can't take the risk as LSU has, with as many issues as they've had lately. So, I think it was probably best for him to move on.
The one thing that I was excited about Kelvin O'Sullivan possibly being here with this transfer portal and the SEC voting last Thursday to let everybody transfer and not have to sit out a year. Man, oh man, the arms that they've recruited at a couple of these places. Yes, the transfer portal is going to be a factor in baseball as well, but it's going to be really cool to see the new coach with all of this young talent. And we were talking about it today. Dylan Cruz, Trey Morgan, Gavin Dugas. It's hard to differentiate who the MVP of those 3 position players are. They have all had their moments.
They really have. Trey Morgan's probably been your best all around in terms of batting in the field. His play at first base is the best I've seen in a long time at LSU, maybe ever, honestly, especially for a freshman. Cruz has been crushing the ball all year, but the tear that Gavin Dugas has been on lately has just been, it's been very impressive. He's kind of stepped up as kind of that leader of this team. You kind of feel it. He's one of those guys. You got a lot of young guys on this team. He's a veteran player in this lineup, and a lot of people kind of follow his lead. I talked about Bianco having kind of that role as well, but even more so with Dugas because he's seeing the ball so well right now. So, yeah, those 3 guys, LSU's lucky to have them.
Everybody loves Mike Bianco. He is certainly tied by the hip with Coach Bertman. He walks like him. He talks like him. He thinks like him. And the former players would certainly embrace him if he came back. The only problem that you have is that he's got 1 trip to Omaha in 20 years. Now, here's the skinny that I mentioned to you. And you say, but that's at Ole Miss. Ed Orgeron's football resume at Ole Miss is extremely different. Who would have thought after he had his tough 3 years at Ole Miss or whatever that he'd come back to LSU and win a national championship? So maybe Mike could do better. But I know this, and he's aware of the expectations of LSU baseball. Coaching his son would be interesting. I do think that they do a very, very solid job in all aspects of the game. But, and I got to be honest with you, Taylor, I don't think everybody's going to be happy because every time a name is floated out there, it's about 50% say, yeah, I can see that, and the other 50% going like, no, Scott Woodward, you better not do that, as if anybody else has anything to say about this coaching hire.
Has anybody ever made a hire throughout history that everyone was 100% happy about? Probably not. Maybe when Alabama.
Yeah, there's been one.
Yeah, maybe when Alabama.
Kim Mulkey, and she hasn't coached the game yet.
You're right, Kim Mulkey. But yeah, you're going to see that regardless of who the coach is. I think Bianco could do well here just because he's so familiar with the culture, the fan base. Having played here, his son's on the team now, and I like the fact you brought up Ed Orgeron. He had one of the worst winning percentages in SEC history at Ole Miss. He comes here to LSU, he has instant success. I mean, it was a quick turnaround for Ed Orgeron. He started winning right off the bat. So, maybe Bianco could do something similar to that. I think he would fit, the kind of the profile of what LSU looks for, a player's coach, somebody who can relate to the fans well. So, I understand he's had one win in Omaha or one trip to Omaha in 20 years, but, that doesn't necessarily mean that that's all he can accomplish here.
All right, let's roll the highlights and relive some of these incredible finishes. Most of you know it was a tough 2-1 loss. And here we go. I think this is with Central Connecticut State and Dylan Cruz start seeing the baseball and it looks like the size of a watermelon. I told Ben McDonald I'd pitch around him.
Yeah, but it's hard to pitch around him when you got a guy like Gavin Dugas right behind him. That was, they made the move to put him in the leadoff spot. He hits 2 solo shots in this game, and that was the difference in that game, really, because you only won that game by 1 run.
Of course, there's Trey Morgan getting on, and here is another Cruz bomb. And one thing that I've noticed about Dylan Cruz, when he hits it in the square part of the fat part of the bat, there is no doubting whether it's going over the wall, Taylor.
Yeah, he has so much pop in his bat, and we heard Coach Maneri talk about that a lot even before the season started. He said for a freshman, this guy, he's really a complete hitter. He can hit it to all parts of the field, and he really has some power behind that bat.
One of the things I really like is a lot of the guys at LSU, they have a tendency to go opposite field. There was the Giacomo's walk-off against Central Connecticut State. Here's Trey Morgan going opposite field for a nice double.
Yeah, Trey Morgan always seems to come up with that big hit whenever you need it. Just when you think he's in a slump, he comes out of it, he makes a play like that. He's done it all year.
There's Gavin Dugas. It is back. It is off the wall, and I don't know who the Oregon score guy is, but that was ridiculous. Well, that might have not been the one, but I cannot believe they shafted Gavin Dugas with a home run. That was an inside-the-park home run, and they gave him a triple and an error instead.
Yeah, it was. I mean, look, the guy going for the ball bobbled it a little bit. It wasn't enough to affect that play dramatically. I would have given him the inside-the-park home run as well.
Here's the crazy thing about this LSU baseball team. Look, we know that here's Trey Morgan once again showing his athleticism. He made it look so easy, turning around and catching the ball kind of like it was normal for him.
Buddy, he's done that all year, You see throws all the time, whether it's from Doty or Thompson on the other side of that infield, and it looks like it's going to be high or low or maybe a little bit to the side. Morgan makes the play just like it's any other routine play. He's been really impressive this year.
Here's the real key of this regional. Javen Coleman comes in and gives them 6 innings, and lo and behold, throwing 3 pitches for a strike and throwing that fastball in the 92 range. Anytime you're a lefty and you're busting 90 and throwing it for a strike and also a changeup and a curve, that's tough to deal with.
Yeah, it is. And, Coleman coming in, he's a freshman. This is his first postseason. You were kind of hoping he would just kind of hold down the fort for you while you would get somebody else warm in the pen, maybe give you a couple innings at most. He went in there and he pitched as well as he's thrown all year, and Oregon did not want to see him again in that second game. I can tell you that.
Of course, this is the first game against Oregon, and there is it. Is this the one? Yeah, this ought to be the one where the Dugas is off of the wall, and here he is, rounded second. Watch Nolan Kane at third base. He's saying, go, no, stop. Gavin Dugas says, are you kidding me? Goes all the way home. Really a shaft job. That Gavin Dugas got 19 home runs, but in my book, he's got 20.
Oh, he's got 20 for sure. That wasn't an error by that outfielder. That was just a great job of base running and even better effort by Gavin Dugas.
Dylan Cruz says, what you can do, I can do just as good, and he hits another dinger. And once again, LSU and Devin Fontenot come in to close it out. 4-1, and now you got to go to Monday night. And once again, here we go with the highlights. Gavin Dugas again. And it's crazy. I thought this was going to be a well-hit ball, but it just kept going. Gives LSU a quick 2-1 lead.
It does. We've seen Dugas really tattoo the ball sometimes this year where you don't know where that ball is going to land, and it was the same thing on Monday. He really got a hold of it.
A shout out to Chris Guillot and all of those incredible fans. Once again, LSU hammering the baseball against Oregon, and here it is. This is that final game Monday night. And I'm telling you, it was Johnny Holstaff to get them through with Marceau closing it out.
It was, but I love the move to let Marceau close it out. And you heard the story of Marceau really wanting to have that ball. I think that says a lot about him, a leader of this team, and your ace in the rotation, wanting to come in and close the game out like that.
Drew Bianco was playing fantastic. I had no idea he could roam center field and cover that much ground. He was phenomenal playing center field this weekend.
He really is, buddy. Drew Bianco is the ultimate Tiger. I mean, what will this guy is not willing to do to help this team win? He'll play second base. He'll play center field. He'll jack a home run if you need him to. I've been really impressed with his play this year.
All right, here it goes. You tie it up at 7-7, and then now here's Bianco right here. This is the 2-run shot to give him the 6-5 lead, and we're seeing so many home runs and so many highlights, I'm losing place, but there he is. Now watch, you ought to see the reception. They love Drew Bianco after that home run. And look at the fan support all the way in Eugene, Oregon.
Yeah, look, LSU owned that ballpark, and it was evident. I think that gave LSU the edge on that night.
Of course, we're still giving you highlights of the final game. Once again, I think this is the double from Cade Doughty. So Tigers are going back and forth. But when LSU saw Bianco hit the 2-run dinger, that's when I believed. And here, speaking of Gavin Dugas, he gets in under the tag.
He does. Look, when you look at Gavin Dugas, you see that big guy that's going to go hit all those home runs. He's fast. He can run those base pads. We saw that inside the park, or would have been inside the park home run. The guy can move.
All right, in case you missed it, LSU had the safety squeeze on. They took it off. They kept throwing over. And then they got a balk to go up 8-7. Man, I could not believe that, Taylor.
Yeah, it was one of those crazy plays. Look, that's something you're going to remember for a long time when LSU got the balk to really go ahead for good.
Jordan Thompson with a nice hit to give them an insurance run, so they lead 9-7. And there you see Will Safford scoring. Of course, as most of you know, this is going to be the final out with Dylan Cruz. And watching giving the Joe Burrow wave goodbye. Everybody knows Joe Burrow did this wave to Texas. Dylan Cruz does this wave to the fans at Oregon.
Yeah, he does. Dylan Cruz has a little bit of swag to him. We've seen it all year, and I love it. The team's fired up, and look, if you got to carry that little edge with you to be competitive and win those games, then by all means do it.
Couple of tidbits before we go to break and get Mike Scarborough. We'll talk about a variety of things. LSU now going to travel later on in the week over to Tennessee. The bad news is that if you're a Tiger fan, you're going to have trouble getting in the ballpark, or you're going to pay spikers. Come on, they're going to spike this ticket up. This is going to be a scalper's market. And I'll give you a little tidbit, folks. I know this sounds crazy, but I've been around a few years. Get you some orange clothing. Go try to buy a couple tickets for you and your better half. Get the tickets secure in your hand, and then go back in the car or go wherever and change your clothes and put your purple and gold on. Because if you're in purple and gold clothes, I guarantee you it is going to be a buyer's market for this thing. They hold about 4,300. It's already a sellout, and that's the negative of this thing. Lindsey Nelson Stadium is not going to be able to find a spot for a lot of the Tiger fans. Man, if they had a big stadium, there'd be another 500 or 600 or more going back to Tennessee.
For sure. Look, this is one of the most hotly contested games in the Super Regional. It's going to be one of the most talked about matchups as well. I kind of like the rivalry, that they're creating, though, between Tennessee and LSU. You've seen a little bit of bad blood, some fun jabs between the fans. I like that. I don't think there's a big enough rival with Tennessee, but yeah, look, this is going to be one heck of a ball game, and I can't wait for the series. I'm excited about it.
Paul Maneri talked about their fans after the 3-game sweep. Once again, to reiterate, LSU lost 3 games by a total of 4 runs. And, of course, a walk-off with Ty Floyd not being able to throw anything but fastballs. And so they got into the Super Regional with a grand slam walk-off. So Tennessee's hitting the long ball. LSU's hitting the long ball. Going to be interesting. We'll know later on in the week the pitching rotation. Quick timeout, once again, from Bayou Smokehouse, the best barbecue in all of Baton Rouge. It's old school barbecue. And like we like to say over here at Bayou Smokehouse, #1 in widening the gap. Give us an opportunity, folks. All we do. Now, look, if you call us and we're not here, that means we've sold out. There's Mama B in the background, her and her son, Finn. You and I both have sampled this food over here, and it is some kind of good. 225-831-9336. Give us a call, and we'll get it out for you to come pick up, or you can come in and dine in, as well as libations with all of Katie and Special K. Quick time out. We'll come back with Mike Scarborough on a Wednesday afternoon edition of Tigers Roar right here on Pelican Sports TV.
Taste the feeling. Hi, business owners. Phase 3. Woohoo! But do your customers know you're back? Well, that's where the Clarence Bugg Show and Pelican Broadcasting can help. Right now, we've got great rates on advertising packages to help you get the word out. Shoot me an email at bugsclarence@gmail.com. Or better yet, call me up. I'd love to talk with you. 225-485-6839. Let's get together and make Phase 3 the best it can possibly be.
Bellello's Furniture and Appliances, your dependable independent. Depend on us for service, for selection, for price. Get huge Whirlpool savings. Shop now and save on Whirlpool appliances throughout the store. Plus, experience our price match guarantee and ask about special financing.
You can depend on the know-how of people who live appliances every day.
Bellello's Furniture and Appliances, your dependable independent with nationwide buying power.
Hi, I am Dr. Farrell Frugier Jr., and I am a general dentist at Frugier Family Dentistry. I was born and raised in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I went to Catholic High School, LSU, and LSU School of Dentistry in New Orleans, where I received my DDS degree in 1986. I always have and will continue to be committed to continuing my education, to invest in technology which makes the diagnosis and delivery of dentistry more thorough, more comfortable, and more aesthetically pleasing. In our practice, we are here to serve the patients. We want to improve their quality of life and to develop relationships with our patients. In dentistry, we have a chance to impact lives on a daily basis, not just by doing dentistry, but by getting to know them and being a part of their life. We also believe in giving back to our community. So every year, we give back to the Greater Baton Rouge Food Bank, Toys for Tots, and Mary Bird Perkins Cancer Center. Please stop by and visit our office. We would love to take care of you and your family.
Team Honda wants to thank you for once again making us Louisiana's #1 new car dealer by offering you never-before-seen savings. For the first time ever, get 0% financing up to 60 months on some of your favorite Honda models. Get thousands in savings right now at Team Honda on Segan Lane.
Very fast-paced show on this Wednesday, June the 9th, 2021. We talked a lot about LSU baseball, the upcoming Super Regionals at Tennessee. And we are now joined by Taylor. I tell you what, I was going to church on Sunday, and Mike is calling me. He worked around the clock. He's been working this coaching hire. First, he worked for about a week straight with Kim Mulkey, getting that story straight. And then he's been working all of these coaching rumors and following baseball. And, oh, by the way, yeah, I owe him a couple of briskets and burgers because he told me and you on the air LSU was going to come out of this regional. So, hey, great prediction and happy Wednesday, my man.
Well, it's, blind squirrel type of thing, I guess.
What's that?
Blind squirrel gets a nut every now and then?
I don't think it was a blind squirrel. You had a gut feeling. I think Taylor, Mike and I agreed today on the radio, and he didn't take credit for this. He didn't tell anybody they'd have to go through the loser's bracket, but the fact that they did go through the loser's bracket made the prediction even greater, Mike.
Yeah, it's, look, like we talked about earlier, it's one of those deals where it's, some of that LSU baseball magic that we've seen for the last 30 years. That's kind of what you live for. And LSU had this weekend with some performances, and Dugas doing what he did, and Barstow coming back and finishing out the game. And it's kind of that's the stories you talk about for years and years later. And So this particular team's got some stories to tell, and they're not done yet. And I kind of agree. Brian Lazar put a story up on the site today where, certainly LSU lost 2 games by 1 run in that series. They got swept. But boy, I think LSU's got some confidence. I think they're going to be loose. I'm not saying they're going to win the Super Regional, but I think they're going to have a little giddy up, and I think all the pressure is on Tennessee.
Yeah, no doubt about it. By the way, you mentioned Brian Lazar. We want to give our respects to him. He lost his dad today. We've all been there before, Mike, and we put the Lazar family in our prayers. And Mr. Lazar, may you rest in peace. Speaking of survival, Paul Mainieri, Mike, did he do anything differently this past weekend that you took notice of? And we talked about it, both radio and TV tonight. Those guys are playing for LSU and the names on the back of their jerseys, but there's a little extra shot of adrenaline. Then you throw the crowd that followed them. Then you throw the fact that they've been hitting the long ball and having all these guys step up. And I'll throw one more in, guys. Ever since the documentary of Hold the Rope and then the walk-off, which happened a couple Mondays ago, Mike, I think it gave these current Tigers just a little taste of the incredible history of the LSU baseball program. And I think it kind of woke them up and said, hey, guys, we got to make some memories like that with this team this year.
Yeah, because all those players were at that, that premiere party at LaBerge, and they got to see an advanced version of it. And I think that I was told that they had gotten Herb Vincent at the SEC tournament to give them a late practice on that Monday so that they could go to that event on Sunday. And you're right. I mean, look at the age of those kids. They were probably, what age were they when LSU last won it in 2009? But the history of it, and I don't know, it's exciting to watch, and I agree with Coach Mainieri in the post game, and I ended up putting up the post game videos of the Oregon coach for both games, and there's a lot of respect there from LSU fans towards him and the way he conducted himself, and he was an impressive guy, and I'm kind of wondering why you wouldn't put him on a coaching list.
Yeah. Well, I know you continue to work that, and obviously it's a catch-22 because you do have some big names that are still playing with their teams, and we also know that Texas A&M named Jeff Schlossnagle as their coach today, and obviously Tadlock stayed at Texas Tech. Hey, one thing about it, Taylor and Mike, when A&M and LSU are looking for baseball coaches, the price of doing business as an LSU baseball coach, we know it's going to be big salary, but everybody else is loving it because now baseball coaches are starting to really get paid some big bucks, Mike.
Yeah, and the SEC, which is already extremely tough, is going to be even more tough. So, baseball guys on our Tiger Den premium message board are really saying that that's not a positive for LSU. The Schlossnagle is now the coach at A&M. The SEC road is already tough enough, and now it's going to be even tougher. So, but it's one of those deals now where it's, and you and I were talking about it right when Mainieri announced his retirement, that you were warning me not to burn myself out on the coaching search because this thing's going to go weeks and weeks. And sure enough, now LSU's going to Super Regional. You still got other coaches playing. Schlossnagle and TCU were eliminated on Saturday, and I think they had to wait a 10-day window for that job to be posted in Texas. And they did that right at midnight, so then he's the guy. I think a lot of people think that had LSU lost to Oregon early Monday morning, that Woodward's already got his guy, and we probably have a press conference by now introducing the new coach. And I don't think that's the case at all. I mean, the rumors out there, the more I dig, I was telling somebody before talking to you, the more people I talk to across the country digging about this job search, coaching search, the more confusing it gets. And there's so much misinformation out there. The stories with O'Sullivan, Pat Casey, has he been offered the job or not? Was there a clandestine meeting on Saturday? And was he offered the job? Is Tim Corbin in play? Is Bianco on the next tier down? Is he even interested? Is there some names that we're not even talking about before coming to talk to you? I'm being told that there's some names to watch out for that nobody's even talking about. And so then it makes me go back to my initial hot board and think about the coach at Dallas Baptist. Why isn't he someone's talking about? I think everybody's been talking about McDonald at Louisville, but I don't think anything's happened there. What about the coach at Michigan? So I still, though, when I step back, think I still want to go towards Casey and Corbin. And while I think a lot of people say, depending on who you talk to, is it time to eliminate O'Sullivan or not? I'm told it's not. So
Okay.
It's crazy.
Well, I've handed that one over to you because I just don't have the patience that I used to have. But Mike has done a phenomenal job. And then now let's get to the good part. And obviously you did Facebook a week ago. We got the email. James Craig and LSU had parted ways. Man, everybody's going, what is going on? And here it is a day later or whatever it was, 24 or 36 hours later. Brad Davis, not the one that caught the touchdown pass against Ole Miss late in the ball game many, many moons ago. He's still a doctor doing great things in Hammond and a class act. But Brad Davis, the lineman who went to Bel Air, played at Oklahoma, and was the right-hand man and offensive line coach for Sam Pittman at Arkansas. He's coming home, big raise, but I really think LSU got better with that subtraction and that addition with Brad Davis, Mike.
Yeah, and I like the story. I've never met him. I've talked to people that know him, and coaches here in the area that know him from growing up. And you like the story of a kid from Bel Air who walks on at Oklahoma. You got to be a special. You got to have a good mindset to be a walk-on, and not only that, be a walk-on for 3 years. A lot of walk-ons don't last that long. And then the way he's made his trek through the coaching tree, and now when you look up, you're looking at LSU as being one of the absolute leaders in all of college football with the number of African-American coaches that they have on their staff. I mean, I'd like to see the numbers across the country, but LSU's got to be the leader or at the very top.
Since we've last done Tigers Roar, Eric Gilbert, the ballyhooed tight end who opted out for the last couple of games this past season, has decided to go to Georgia. He has been required by law to wear a mood ring on a daily basis. Everybody, well, he is an up and down guy. Come on, that's a nice way of saying there's some issues there. But guess what? You said a mouthful today. I will take Taylor, Max Johnson's brother, Jake Johnson. Mike, seeing that film and all the work you did with the cut-ups and the highlights, I will take that kid right now over Eric Gilbert or any other tight end simply because he is so smooth. He's going to be a flex tight end. Taylor, I really think that kid would start for LSU at tight end first game September 4th. No disrespect to Cole Taylor and Nick Storrs and all those other guys, but you saw the film. You know how good he is. How cool is that to have Max's brother coming in and being that good? And you're only going to get bigger, faster, and stronger.
Yeah, no, I think he could definitely come in and play right now, Mike. You know, we were talking to Buddy earlier this week, and I mentioned that, look, his high school tapes is as good as I've seen from the tight end position. I don't know about you, but I think this kid could come in, he could play right away, and I think that's exactly what he will do. I don't know if they'll use him inside or out yet, but I think he'll be used in a variety of ways.
He loves to run and works hard. Football mind, great football family. And I'm telling you, it's just kind of just the look of him and the way he moves. He reminds you of Gronk. I mean, and so if Eric Gilbert was the highest-rated tight end in the history of recruiting services, and I'm watching him, and I want to say he's an inch or two taller than Gilbert.
Well, they list him at 6'5" or 6'6", and anywhere from 230 to whatever. But you mentioned Gronk. I don't know if he can chug beers, and I don't know if his girlfriend will make the cover of Sports Illustrated. But man, the guy makes everything look so easy. And I think the big key, Taylor, and you know this because you coach high school football, he's going to have to work with the upper body to be able to push off and get that separation when they jam him at the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, he will have to work on that a little bit, but he's got the body for it. You know, Mike talked about his size, and I agree 100%. Look, the tight end position has kind of evolved. It's becoming, you know, you got to be an athlete to play. You got to be one of the best athletes on the field. I love you mentioned guys like Gronk. You know, you got Travis Kelce, George Kittle. Guys like this are changing the game, and I think Jake Johnson could be one of those guys.
Mike, who else?
And look, unfortunately for him, of course, well, I say unfortunately, maybe he'll get a year or two of it. But name, image, and likeness. When he smiles, he's got a marketable smile that could make him a lot of money. Where if name, image, and likeness was in full effect, I think there's going to be a lot of business people in the area who would like to have a kid like that representing their business.
Well, maybe him and Max could get that Johnson & Johnson sponsorship.
Yeah.
I like it. Hey, that's a good one right there. By the way, Mike, somebody after you were on today sent me a message. Who is Jake Johnson going to catch more balls from, Max Johnson or Walker Howard? Talk a little bit about Walker, how he bonded with Jake at this camp, and you had some mind-boggling stats with Walker Howard and Jake Johnson when they hooked up this past weekend.
Well, I made those stats up as a joke, teasing Jamie a bit, because I said, Walker was 29 of 32 today, or 28 of 32, and 27 of his completions were to Jake Johnson. And he told me, yeah, well, that's because Pete's told him he wanted him to be throwing to him, and it was, I put up clips of both of them. And so their highlight, when I look at the particular numbers of making each one of their tapes that I posted, all the numbers were the same, almost the same. Walker had a bunch of hits to Dakotas Crawford and Reuben Owens and some others, but yeah.
So Mike, do you think they have that instant connection? Because look, I know that, you know, Max is already on that roster. Do you think it would factor into his decision in any way if Brennan was to be that guy over Johnson?
I don't think so. I don't think that bothers Max. They're all in with LSU.
Yeah, and look, all I can tell, and I know, Mike, you talked about this with what might happen with Miles Brennan. I just got to feel like Jake Peets and DJ Mangus and Munoz and everybody in that offensive room, if a guy says, oh, man, what do you mean? I'm not starting? And all you got to do is put the tape in. I don't care if it's Brennan or Max Johnson, and I'd put the tape in and say, you see what happened right there to Miles Brennan? He got hurt. He didn't play again. See this second guy, TJ Finley? He got a chance. You see this third guy? He got a chance. He came in and he won 2 games, and that's why LSU went 5-5. So I think in the SEC and I think in today's game, so much physicality. You got to sell those guys on all of them, 1, 2, or 3, being one play possibly away from seeing the field, Mike.
Yep. It's I think that the future is still bright. We had the hiccup last week with Craig. We're going to see what ends up happening with that. We're just weeks away. I'm sitting here looking at my thermostat right now, and we're about 5 degrees. My AC not being able to keep up because we're already in the 90s. So that tells me we're not far away from the start of football season.
I can't gripe about the heat and humidity. I griped about the rain. So, look, I'll get out there and cut some grass and and enjoy this hot weather and get ready for football. Let's talk about the rest of the guys that you saw over the weekend. I know there were a couple defensive ends that really caught your eye, Mike.
Yeah, the Hicks from Texas was special. And of course, Quincy Wiggins, obviously, from Madison Prep. I think Coach Carter's done a fantastic job with him. He put out his top list on Sunday, and but I think LSU is for him. And by the way, I'm glad you brought them up, because everybody who was seeing the one-on-ones, OLDL action from Saturday afternoon was, lamenting how the offensive linemen that were committed were performing. Of course, one of them's been processed. But people need to realize that drill is absolutely designed and rigged for defensive linemen to look good. They're not in full pads, so there's nothing for an offensive lineman to grab onto. And while Quincy Wiggins is absolutely a stud, but when he's sweaty and no shirt on, and it's a matter of no pads, it's not hard for him to slip past a guy in those drills. And every offensive line coach hates that drill because they know it. And I'm pretty sure Ed Orgeron would admit it. So I think maybe in the future they ought to even that thing up a little bit and do some run blocking, and then you'll really see who owns the day.
Taylor, I saw Will Campbell, the 5-star, who is a commit to LSU, and let me tell you what, this guy is nasty. And, Mike, along those lines, when you have those kind of edge rushers that are going to play for LSU and in the SEC, what do we hear? Iron sharpens iron. It just makes Will Campbell better. But, yeah, I know some people said, oh, he got beat on that play, he got beat on this play. I'll take my chances. Give me another 2 or 3 more Will Campbells, and I don't think anybody would hesitate.
Look, and by the way, me saying this isn't me disputing how good Quincy Wiggins is, because I'm not.
Sure.
Because I know Will Campbell and Quincy have been like all at each other, like when you go commit, you got to be a part of this because I don't want to be facing you on another team, that sort of thing. But, yeah, no, it's when you're an offensive lineman and the guy's not wearing pads where you can get a palm or an edge of a palm or a hand on a pad, that's all the difference in the world.
Hey, wrapping up, we got a couple of minutes left, Mike. Let's talk about the new coaches and who impressed you. We talked about Jake Peetz. He should have had, instead of an LSU shirt, an Energizer shirt, because he just had 9 lives and his battery was charged up the whole time. Unbelievable how many reps and how many kids that they had come in there. And, of course, it was awesome for you to be able to get out there and those kids to go first camp since the pandemic, right?
Yeah, Orgeron had that little deal years ago where he needed to cut back on the energy drinks. And after what I saw of Pete Saturday and Sunday, I just don't know where he's getting that energy from. And they need to check his office and make sure he's not drinking a 6-pack of Red Bull or whatever every day, because it was something to see. Everybody was commenting on him. I mean, he was bouncing all over that football field all day long, 2 days in a row. And it was fun watching him coach the offensive linemen, because all the coaches had to, chip in because you didn't have an offensive line coach there. And but yeah, and what's funny is when we got that news Wednesday night that Craig was out, my first thought was, are they still going to host those official visitors this weekend? Are they going to try and reschedule them? And no, they didn't. And I think it's worked out for them, because I think those offensive linemen really had a good time. And so I think LSU's board, now Lucas Taylor is a Mississippi State Bulldog. So I think LSU's probably not only have they made room and for somebody that can help them, I think it's, we'll see how Lucas does at Mississippi State. But I think Davis is going to bring a new set of names to the board along with those that were already there.
And, of course, Mike, another camp this weekend, correct?
Yes, and then next week will be several days, and I know the Alsbury brothers will be there, so I I think next week is going to have a lot of hardcore kids as well. Hopefully we have good weather, and it's outdoors, because all those kids in that indoor facility, it was almost impossible to see everybody and covered the way we'd like. There was probably 3 or 4 kids that I realized after the fact that were there that I didn't get to see, and that's because you're packing 400 plus kids into an indoor facility when it probably needs to be spread over 4 football fields.
All right, real quick, tell them about Tiger Bait and what you got going this summer.
Yeah, TigerBait.com. Check out our show on Wednesday nights, and Facebook and our Facebook page. Go subscribe to Tiger Bait. Loads of recruiting information, baseball coaching search coverage. Football season is right here. We'll be previewing the opponents, and so we've got it all for you at TigerBait.com.
Thank you, Mike. Talk with you tonight. Of course, I'll be joining Mike with Facebook Live at 8 o'clock. Good stuff, as always. Talk with you next week, my man.
All right, buddy. Thanks.
All right, Taylor, as often the case, when a radio guy like me does TV, we have run over, and I know you deal with that on a daily basis, but let's wrap up this puppy. JP will be back, and it's nice that we have 3 of us interacting on these Tiger Roar show, because as we get closer to football, people want to hear all the scoop. But man, for the summer, it's been hot and heavy, and of course LSU still in the mix with baseball, football recruiting, and still a baseball coach to hire. So really, it's hard to get a day off, and it's hard to stay away from your phone because you hate to miss a story.
It is, but look, it's kind of positive times for the university right now, and we didn't say that a lot, a month or 2 ago. I noticed you didn't have your sunglasses on today.
No.
We didn't have a lot of negative news to talk about.
No.
So look, it's a lot of information, but most of it's positive, and that's always good.
By the way, since we've last seen you, just to reiterate, LSU will open up September 4th against UCLA. How about this? Going to Oregon to play baseball in a regional, opening up the season. A lot of people say it's a bucket list trip. We thought we were gone over a decade ago to see the Rose Bowl, but at UCLA, 7:30 Central Time on Fox. Week 2 is McNeese, Ed Ogeron playing against Frank Wilson, good friends, and his son, Cody Ogeron, the starting quarterback. How do you think that one's going to play out?
Look, I like it. It's hard to get excited about when you're bringing in a smaller team, but with Cody Ogeron playing quarterback, and he played really well last season, I might add. But yeah, it's going to be a fun one. Those first 2 games are going to be exciting.
And of course, that one's on at 7 o'clock, and then Game 3 is Central Michigan, LSU hosting Central Michigan at 6:30 on the SEC. Final words. All right, put you on the spot. Do they make it to Omaha or not?
I think they do.
Yeah?
I think they do. I'm going to be positive with it today. I think they do.
We all know the ways, Burrow and Cruz. I'm in the middle. If they hit the baseball the way they've been hitting it and finish up, Greg says they're going to Omaha. Marty says he's going to get an Omaha steak, whether they go or not. And once again, we do appreciate you. Come see us over here by your Smokehouse, folks. Once again, 831-9336. See you next week for another edition of Tigers Roar right here on Pelican Sports TV. See you tomorrow, everybody, on the radio.